Did you ever think you'd make over 70 million from this business when you started?
We did 72 or 3 or whatever it was, technically through one VSL opt-in funnel. I know guys who do 15 million a month in info, and they have completely dedicated funnels for different traffic sources. We do a bad partnership where we spend 1.15 million or something, make 100K back, literal $1 million straight cash burn. You stack all those up, not cool.
How did you personally handle this?
Our jumps were essentially 100K a month, $1 million a month, and $3 million a month. And then this month right now is the highest, and we're at 4 or plus right now. So
let's kick off. Firstly, man, I really appreciate this. So where I want to start is looking back at where you've gone now. Did you ever think you'd make over 70 million from this business when you started?
This specific one, no, I mean, in beginnings, no. And again, so I'm a co-owner, not a co-founder. I was number 4 or 5 on the team. Those guys, they started it before me. The digital marketing co-founder, right? There's the expert and the marketer. I always say that in these info coaching businesses, it's expert marketer, and then at scale, it's plus an operator. It doesn't necessarily need to be 3 people, but it's 3 skill sets, right? So they had the expert and the marketer. They already had something going on. They were doing a low ticket monthly app. They were trying to build it like some of these other ClickFunnels companies. And I came in and was building sales pages, literally building sales pages and random ClickFunnels and tech builds and just random shit for $2,000 every 6 weeks. Anything that spit out, find a little bit of it. And one of the co-founders would send me some cash. And it was just fun. And I was doing a bunch of other random stuff at the time for years, even while this was starting to grow. When we changed it over to a call funnel, we're we know this can at least be $1 million a month business. I model everything based off who exists out in the market already. And people were doing 1 to 3 a month. And we also weren't that tapped in, if I'm being honest. We were not that tapped into the space. And I just knew a couple people. I bought all the courses. I watched all the YouTube videos. So I knew what people were doing with call funnels. But I just was at that point, we were doing info. We were making 30-40% margin, doing 10 million bucks a year. Once it got churning, and we're cool, this is dope. And there's 3 of us that were partners, and we're all right, cool. So no, and even when it started to get up into that range and I started to talk about it out loud, I would look at the all-time chart and be wow, yeah, that really does add up to 70. I don't know, you know what I mean? Cause it was an extended amount of time too. These guys are oh yeah, 2 years. We've done X amount, we've done more, but it's been over, that chart, that Stripe account that I share is 2018 or 19. So it's 6 years of, granted, it was very light in the beginning, as you see on that chart, that's but yeah.
It's funny because a lot of the info businesses, they kind of bro scale, hack and cowboy their way to it, So how, I think this is really important to frame, how much of it were you completely not dialed in the beginning? So when you got to $1 million a month, right? Bear in mind, $1 million a month is it's a lot of money, right? How much slippage did you have in the business? How much margin for error did you have in the business to scale it from that point forward?
We were doing phone call the entire time. We almost never sold direct to cart ever. So a lot of these guys will do that, but I'm a huge fan of over the phone. I think you can have more slippage. I think there's more room for error. I think that if you get someone on the phone, you can change your offer real time. You can navigate any objection they have versus if you send them to a sales page, it's it's one offer. It's all the copy that's on page. It's only the objections that you put in place. It's only putting it on a sales page makes it definitive. This is what they're going to buy through. These are the only things you can have on page. And I'm not good at that. The other co-founder is really good at marketing, sales, copy, all of that world. So he was much better at that. But yeah, there was tons of slippage. Even to this day, I'm oh yeah, we know all these things we didn't know then, but I can't imagine how many more things we don't know today. I can't imagine how much slippage. One of the biggest things, I just went to another event, 2 weeks ago. And one of the biggest things I was oh wow, we are just not squeezing enough. We pay all this money in ad spend, and it's oh, people also email the list different offers, and they do this, and they use DM setting, and then they'll use different acquisition models that are based on this, and their sales comps are this, and I'm oh wow, there's 2%, there's 5%, there's 10%, and at these sizes, that's mid to high hundreds of thousands of dollars when you stack it up a month.
Before we move any further, I have one short question to ask you. Have you been enjoying these episodes so far? Because if you have, I would truly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel to help more business owners grow their online business today.
Do you think it's about more than more instead of refining though? Because if you think about it, like what you have right now, or we even had at 1 million a month or 5 million a month, if you just refine that and squeeze that versus like opening up like another acquisition channel, like how do you think about that?
That's what I mean. Not even opening more. Like right now, we did 72 or 3 or whatever it was, technically all through one funnel, technically through one VSL opt-in funnel. And so like when you're saying like back in the day of us doing 30-40% margin, doing $1 million a month basically, or doing $1 million a month, that was an info product, so there was no fulfillment costs and it was a lot of volume. So it was like anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500. Like across that time, we changed the price and increased it. But we were doing a ton of volume selling an info product over the phone.
And you said no,
like
no
those economics like are crazy nowadays, because like if you sold about, like that's a direct to cart product all day, or like a webinar product or a long form VSL, like that is, or an ascension product even. And we just like didn't have the wherewithal to understand that at the time. So once we started to roll in the direction, everything exploded. And that's why we changed it up, is because it couldn't take the volume anymore after we got to a certain point. So we had to roll out more acquisition models. We had to have more fronts for the acquisition. But now it's almost like, I feel like I talk about it kind of publicly a lot, but I'm like, yeah, I want like one core lead funnel and one core buyer funnel as like the next step. It's like, what is the core lead funnel? When I say that, I mean like a VSL opt-in, a direct application with VSL, something like that. That's just like lead focused. And then one that's like a low ticket ascension offer. That's a buyer funnel. So you have buyers that come in. I'm like, we crack 2 of those and we can get to very sizable numbers, like 5 to 8 a month. And then yes, of course, let's layer more on. Let's have diversification. Let's move in that direction. But like, right now we have 5 or 6 on the front because we're like almost testing them all. And it's like, let's just optimize. Like you're saying, let's just focus on one and get one to work. Is like that's where my frame's at least. So yes, I agree. And what I was saying about the squeezing it, exactly what you're saying. So not adding more fronts, but like a very simple example is like, we have this lead funnel. That's the core one. So we send a ton of traffic to that. Let's just use simple math. Let's say we get 1,000 a day leads, just for simple math. Those then, what percentage of them come in and get content every day? They get contextual automations. They also get emailed twice a day. And they also get reached out to, and like all these different like spots. Okay, so like if that all exists, but one of the things I learned at this event is like, okay, we're just pushing them to basically consume video content, maybe some audio content, like that's it. And yes, that's in different messaging pockets. And yes, but what if we also had a webinar that was to the list? What if we also sent the lead people to the buyer funnel through email? What if we also sent this and this, and like things like that we weren't doing? This last week, we emailed the list, the low ticket, like as just like a direct email, and it got like, 30 purchases, which like, and it has its ascension rate and it has its thing. And it's like, what if that was in cadence? And again, that's only a 1% or a 3% or whatever thing. But like you stack those up on what you're already paying for. That was us emailing our list like that we already have. So it's like those things then compound, because then now more eyes on that, then the ascension rate from that, then that plugs back. Like they all can play together, but you can still focus on like 1 or 2 core things in the front, right? So
dude, I love how like you've been doing this for so long. Your brain is just always computing. It's like this has become like so like it's a curse of granted knowledge. I feel like that you've been doing this for so long at such a high level that you almost like don't realize it, because for a lot of guys or the majority of businesses will sit way under that million a month mark, right? So let's just bring people through that journey, right? So you went from, you basically were at like 20K a month when you joined, right? Effectively. And then you brought people up through the call funnel. And then you swapped then from that low ticket, like $700 product, women's coaching, bear in mind, this is the most important part, to high ticket. What was the kind of building blocks from there, from 0 to 1 million, 1 million to 2 million? What did you have to let go of, right? Because I think that's the biggest thing. And something that I personally find as well, we have to let go of a lot of beliefs that got us to, we've hit like 300K, 350K in a month. We have to let go of a lot of things that, we used to do basically.
Yeah. So our jumps were essentially 100K a month, $1 million a month, and 3 million a month. 3 was our previous all time. And then you include the renewal stuff and whatever that we did. And it was like 3.7. And then this month right now is the highest, and we're at 4 or plus right now. So yeah. Which is great, I'm excited about. But again, it was a lot of renewal again. So new, all I'm focused on is new. which has been a deterrent in the past because we don't focus on the LTV side of things, which is the highest profit, which is the biggest margin, which is like all this stuff, right? So now we're focused on both. So like, I'm not trying to discount it, but I also am really focused on the new because of all the things we're doing in marketing and acquisition and changes. And it's kind of like been the big focus forever. And like, I still not fully cracked, but the changes that were made through there. So like you said, we were selling a low ticket thing. So like just the economics of what the offer were at that time. So when we initially started, we just like don't know any of this stuff. And it's like so obvious now. Like if I look back, I'm like, oh, what could we have done 5 years ago? It's like, just crushes me. But like initially it was a low ticket. So it was selling a recurring monthly app. Then we changed over and, co-founder called me and was like, how do we take this thing to 10 million? And I was like, let's do a call funnel. Like we were just shooting the shit. And I'm like, let's do a call funnel. We're from this world of where we both bought the courses. I bought another course that was on how to do CRMs and another one that was like YouTube ads. And I'm buying these like direct, by the way. We bought one of them. That's not true. We bought one of them from the company, but the other one's like I'm buying, like he already had one personally. Like we're personally buying these things because the business has no cash. And it's doing $100K a month, but it's like we're spending only to acquire. So it's not doing $100K a month. It's doing freaking $3,000 a month. Like it has no margin. Right. So I'm not even like fully part of the company yet. And then we move it over to a call funnel and we're selling an info product that was $500. Then it moves up to 1,000. Then it moves up to 1,500. That's how just paid through and optimizing a sales team. We're taking sales calls in the initial, we're ramping all the reps. We're doing the hiring. I'm doing office hours, an hour a day, every day, like trying to teach them the tech because our sales reps are all customers of the product. So it's, XYZ demo, all that. And then going from 1 to 3, was changing the offer to be one-to-one coaching. So we just changed the offer to be like a coaching offer instead of an info offer. And just that alone was the big uptick. And we were cruising and like actually had pretty locked in good margin. And then everything exploded into last year, into Q3 of 24 because acquisition broke. We hammered that funnel so hard. We had no backup funnels. We had no full on marketing department. We were trying to do it through an agency. CPA is rising. Agency cost to run all of marketing is rising. Like everything was rising at the same time. So it started to squeeze. And it was like fine. Again, like between that, a couple bad partnerships and whatever, it's like we lost millions in CPA slippage, marketing department slippage, sales team, what we thought was good performance and like wasn't great performance. Like it was getting new clients, but it wasn't like crazy KPIs. They weren't like super tactical. And then CPA, marketing spend there, and then some bad partnerships. We tried to do some things with LTV that we just took a bite out of the app, just ripped us like over 7 figures. That we made a deal with. So like, yeah.
Can you walk me through how you're running the front end? So like all the ads through the front end. So is 100% paid, right? 100% this is paid.
You might as well say, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I pulled a Hyros report the other day and it's like, I was trying to show we're trying to lean into YouTube organic a little bit now. We have so much content, but it's not optimized for like virality or first click or anything. Creating outliers. It's all middle and bottom of funnel. It's like info, it's educational. It's like very in that world. It's customer interviews. It's like stuff like that exists middle and bottom of funnel. So once someone comes in with an ad, then they look us up or they see us or they get into one of our lead flows. We send them emails twice a day that are videos from there. Like the consumption ring is there, but it doesn't exist in a way to like new lead generation. Right. So yeah, it's 99.9% paid. Like,
so how the fuck do you ramp that paid? So like what are you looking for in like the unit economics? Because what I love about you, and this is what when the first thing we met in London, right, was like you're a data guy. Like you're a numbers guy, you're a data guy first, and then you are let's do something based on the numbers. And that was so apparent to me, and that's why what I really want to allude to. You knew how much were the purchases, you knew how much you were spending, you knew how much you were making on the back end. So with all of this in mind, how do you have the confidence to ram so much ads on the front end?
Based on the numbers. So like starting light, I talked about this the other day, but someone XYZ I know was like, oh yeah, we want to launch this new one. I'm like, here's the structure of the page, here's the structure of this. And like, I can kind of start to get into like ideation and like copy mode of like, oh, here's the big thing. And here's like the USP. But like, again, that's not my lane like as much. Like I know structurally how it needs to look. I know what pages need to exist. I know what percents need to go from this page to this page. I know what page, what conversion rates, what show rates, what cash per call rates, what, like, I can tell you all of that, but like, now what are the words on the page? Like, that's not as much my world, like a little bit, but not as much. So when we did it at what time frame, I'm trying to think. So I bought 2 courses. The one that I had bought, and one that was in the product. I have a picture on X that's it's a picture of a desk, like a dining room table almost. And I have 2 lamps with the shades off of them behind me, like over here for my lighting. And it's like a picture of this giant like water jug or whatever. And it's like, bought 2 courses, and in a weekend, we launched this VSL funnel that we then ran in 3 days. We launched it. So I bought the course. It had the script on how to do it. It had what the page structure and flow is. It had how to do all the CRM stuff. I had set up all the zaps, built all the tech, like did all that. And then the other co-founders, like one is the brand face and like shot the actual VSL, shot the thank you page video, did those things, shot the ads for it. The other co-founder is like very good at marketing. So like was changing the messaging, and like I got the script template, he adjusted it, and we launched it. And you launch it at these low budgets. So you launch them at $100, $300, whatever, a day. And then you start to see what data comes through. So like, back to your question of like, how do you get the confidence to do it, is like, you have to run it. You have to make your best judgment call on if it makes sense. And then you very quickly can see some of the stats around it. And like, if you're truly on zero and cold and new, a lot of you got like, I'm not 100% in the audience here, but like the London guys, for example, like all that crew, it's very organic. So when you launch one of these things, you almost have like puffed up stats, because the algorithms find people who have already seen you or consumed your content, which is not cold. That is not cold. So like, it's almost like, I mean, it is better. It's almost like retargeting for you guys when you start them up. But it's direct response, versus a lot of the time it's all content that you guys have out there with some CTAs mixed in. But like, when it's a direct ad about a specific thing going to a page that has a specific button on it that's to do one thing, like that's how you test it. So for us, when we did that, it was, testing at XYZ. Calls were coming in at like, at that time in life, $50, $80, something like that. And we're selling them a $500 thing over the phone. And the math worked well, even at those numbers, because it was so low budget, because the costs were so low, because they probably had some level of warmth, because we had some level of organic, or had already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a low ticket thing that just basically broke even when you added up everything. And so now we were going to this range of like, oh, cool, this does 30 to 40 points. And then we just started stacking the price. But like, if you don't know your numbers on things, and like, it's pretty easy to know, for me, it's pretty easy to know is if you just track it off the jump, it's like, how many, let's use a VSL opt-in funnel. It's like, how many ops do I have? How many applications do I have? How many bookings do I have? How many live bookings do I have? How many, in the pipe do I have? And then how many do I have closed? And it's like, what's your cost per across all those as your ad spend starts to trickle up? And like, if you're selling something that's 20 grand, the economics need to be a lot different than if they're 5 grand, right? Because like your cost per call, the swings in what you can do there, you get a ton of feedback from over the phone. When you get people live on the phone, you can change the offer. You can sell them something with 10 coaching calls. You can sell them something with no coaching calls. You can sell them, I'm going to fly out there and you can come and stay with me in Bali for 50 grand or whatever. And you offset all of your ads. Like seriously, like that's the beauty of a call funnel, is you can real time adjust. And at scale, of course, you don't want to do that. But like, bro, if you're in the trenches, like building this thing out, like it's very custom, there's a lot of room for error in a funnel like that. But yeah, you can real quick see, like I had someone message me the other day and was like, oh, I got 500 clicks from paid to like a DTA funnel. So like headline VSL application. And they had like 2 apps. And I was like, okay, fundamentally broken. Like, you hear these guys talk like 3 to 5% is what your conversion rate on that page should be. And it's like, there's your true north. I know guys who have 30% of clicks apply from page, which is insanity. And like, you have like a sub 1% or whatever the math is on that. Like that is not, like, something is broken. How they're coming to the page, it may be like, what are your variables? What does the ad say that gets them to this page? Once they get to this page, what does the headline say? What is the VSL? What's the consumption of the VSL? What's your page tracking say? How many clicks to the application? How many started the application? And then we know how many filled out the application. Something is broken here. Like, so once you have the data though, you can very easily scale into it, very easily.
How are you tracking the data? Is it all Hyros, or are you hacking shit together with spreadsheets?
Simplest answer, just spreadsheets, let's say. But like, you're essentially logging everything. You just need to log everything. like that's my view of data as it's shifted over time, and how it actually works is like you have all your data stored somewhere that's in a uniform, consistent way. And then you have viewers of that data, which is like where you can do this across this and this range and this one versus this one and all that stuff. But you like store it all in one place. So whether that's a sheet that stores it all in tabs, whether that's inside HubSpot, whether that's exactly what Hyros is, it's like it just stores all the back end data, and then you just get to view it in a pretty way. And like, oh, last click for scientific, or this versus this, but it's all just like looking at, like, that's literally how data works. It's like one structured data set, a database, and then viewers of that data. So for years, we only use sheets. Then we applied Hyros, but like Hyros is for the ad attribution, not the actual like funnel economics. So that has now made its way into HubSpot. We're making a whole like source of truth and like custom data lake and doing all that now. And then reporting tools on top of those.
Dude, this is so crazy. And I think, again, it's just such common knowledge to you as you've built out for so long, right? But I think the organic guys have a great advantage. So I think when I moved into ads in the past year, things have just been easier. And I was laughing when you said about when you're selling high ticket, because we just need a couple of the 20Ks to close a month for it all to check out.
Yeah.
And we literally joke about it being like, if we just get a few, like 2 or 3 of them, everything will check out.
Yeah, literally.
You know, and like, obviously the ad spend is like, you know, it's basically nothing compared to what you're doing. Now, I guess we spend a lot of marketing on the production of everything and the episodes and the videos and YouTube and short form and the team and the design team and everything. But that's the way I'm looking at it, right? Because like our lowest product, 6K. So if we're complete dumbasses, and that's what I said about slippage at the end of the day, we can still have a very profitable month off of paid on its own, whereas organic is still going to be 85% of things. So is your advice there for the organic guys to just scale the shit out of it and just learn it, basically?
Organic to scale the shit out of paid?
Yeah, like as in, you know, so all my audience, 25, 35, first time, second time business owners, agency, info guys. A lot of guys are heavy on YouTube, which I promote, and their own brand. They build up that equity. How I describe it is this, actually. You'll find this quite interesting. We have the hot audience, which is easy to sell to, right? It's shooting fish in a barrel. And then you have the warm audience, and you have cold audience. And your only goal in organic content is to move people from cold into warm and warm into hot, always. Because the hot like should close all the time.
Yeah.
Like 1 and 2 should buy.
Yeah.
So my goal is just to pump the shit out of that. So the way I think about it, and the way I'm thinking about it recently, is I just need to get more people into the cold sphere, and then leave them cook in the ecosystem, and then they'll kind of gently move into warm, and then gently move from warm into hot, and then start booking their calls and so on.
Yeah, I mean, we do the same method. It's just we don't have the organic on the front, so it costs us more money to do that same process, but we decrease the time. So we pay for time.
So
like
tell me,
where you have someone who organically follows you and does XYZ, then how long it takes them to then consume more content, then push themselves into warm. How good is your content optimized to push them to warm to hot, and then to conversion, which is get on the phone with you or whatever. And you have 98% show rates and 60% close rates, but like that's not,
but not same volume.
Yeah, exactly. But like at volume, like you said, like, a couple 20Ks. Yeah. But my belief is around, I love organic. I think it makes a ton of sense. We just don't have it. Like, I would love to have it. A big thing with organic is when virality happens, you need something that is 24/7 available to purchase, join, happen. And like with us, with the call funnel, like there's volume restrictions. So like if someone comes in and like if we had an affiliate or like a video that just popped off and just went crazy viral, and all of a sudden we got 1,000 applications in a day, there is nowhere for them to book because you only have so much volume. Like that's why paid is so evergreen and so consistent. And so, right, if organic, you have like these big waves, like it's potentially great, but you need somewhere to like push them into. So that's why these guys sell direct to cart offers, like low ticket, free communities that then because then you capture as much of that as possible all the time, but then they're not like, it's not one conversion focused. It's like you put them in a free group, or they opt in for this free thing, or they pay for your low ticket or direct to cart thing that exists, and you make another $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a day just off the low ticket or the direct to cart offer. And then from there, you take those people and nurture and consume as buyers or as leads inside your ecosystem, not on an external platform like YouTube, whatever, which clearly also works, but like you own the audience more so than them just being like a subscriber. You now have their email, you now have their phone number, you now have their Facebook profile because they're in a group, whatever it is. Then from there, you ascend them into the high ticket thing, which is like a lot of your margin, a lot of your spot. Or, in this case, it might be there's no advertising cost. It's just content, production cost. So yes, I love organic. We have not cracked it. And same thing with when I look at like affiliates, I'm like, cool, if I could like build in like a fixed CPA model that was, call it $1,000 for easy math. Like, how do I do that in a way that maintains the quality and the consumption and all these things? Because if I'm like, hey guys, send all these affiliates, we'll give you $1,000 per purchase. Now send us traffic. They will book out our calendar in 3 hours. Like I know lead gen guys that spend like $300,000 a day. Like they can fill that in 2 seconds. Is the quality there? Is that our ideal customer? Is it this? Is it that? Like unlikely. And because we don't have a system that is built, like we have the low ticket thing, but even our low ticket then goes to 2 different booking widgets because they book in with a setter, they book in with like there's still a volume restriction that like you need to staff for on the back when you start to do stuff that's over the phone.
Are you an agency owner, coach, or consultant looking to scale your online business? At Volks, we help business owners scale their online business with content. We help them specifically build a high-ticket offer, create content that turns into clients, and also help them with the sales process to make sure every single call that's booked in your calendar turns into a client. If you want to see more about exactly how we do this, hit the first link down below and watch a full free training on how smart entrepreneurs are building a business in 2025.
It's a theory of constraints issue, right? It's like it's going to be in that order. I think it's ironic because I've just hired a new ads manager now to sort out this shit, right? To pump a shit ton of ads on the front end, in addition to the organic. But what I wanted to ask you was when you move from that part of the cycle to the next part, which is the sales side, how did you build and scale like that sales team? Because like I have 6 people.
Our sales team off the rip was clients of the product. So we would make a hiring post inside the community of like the paid community. And we'd be like, hey, income opportunity. Who wants to make money basically just selling the thing that you love? And they, ours is 40 to 60-year-old women demo. And they were jazzed to do it. And it's a little bit less hours because their moms or grandmas or this or whatever. But they were interested in doing it. And it was all 1099. So it's like, who cares? Like they can work the hours they want to work and all that. We plug them into the calendars. At that time we were ramping them ourselves and we were hosting office hours and teaching them this. And I was creating Kajabi trainings on how to navigate. Cause there's like a tech, right? It's like, what's the tech? What's the sales skill? And then what's like the product knowledge company, whatever, right? Is like roughly speaking. And Cole Gordon is the G of this. So he would tell me there's probably 12 different things, but like those are my 3 like quick buckets. So they had the product knowledge, the understanding, the results even of the exact product. They just need to learn how to like use the tech and actually sell. So it's like in our brain, it was like, that's the easier one because they have such high conviction. They have such high product knowledge. They have all these other things. It's like, let's just have demo to demo. They're the same person. They literally bought the product themselves. They literally got results as themselves. So why wouldn't they just be able to sell it? And that's how we did it. And we've had hundreds of sales reps at this point, like hundreds. Like our last sales rep ID is like, I don't even know, 400 something maybe. And it's been granted, 5+ years. So we've had issues. Team has had issue. Like we've been through a lot of it. But that was how we initially hired for it. And then now once we made the shift from info to coaching, that's when things took a turn to like, we need more professional sales reps. We need more. And also like, because the conviction shift, they bought the info product. They didn't buy the coaching. Because the coaching wasn't for sale yet. So when you start to sell this coaching, now all of a sudden you have this crew of like fantastic people and fantastic women, right? But like they had bought this product, they had sold this product. Now they're going to sell this product, which is now more of a sales function, less of a conviction thing because they have not also bought this thing, right? So the shift for that. But there's so many people, like depending on what your offer is, the market is overflowing with remote setters, remote closers. The biggest issue is generally like too high level of aggression, what offer are you on right now? What offer are you on right now? Because they jump. They're always chasing the new hot, sexy thing. But there's some really, really quality people in the market.
For sure. And I think it was interesting. I think it was you that gave me advice on this when we were hiring 2 new closers recently, we had the opportunity to hire someone with high ticket closing background, and he went through all the programs, and another guy who had corporate sales background, so B2B in the trenches, like multi-threading type sales. And we hired both. Actually, we hired both of them. And the guy that had a corporate sales background has stayed on, and the other guy we've let go. He had like a 44% close rate in his first month. The other guy had like 6, right? When they were fully ramped up. And the reason being, I think there's a few things. I think the guy from the corporate sales, they understand the shit like phase. Because like when you're in corporate, right, you have to bite your tongue. So he was able to sit through those lessons, and it humbled him. People loved him on calls. Like generally, the general acceptance was that they liked him. Funnily enough, the guy's actually in the room next door to me, and he just got off a call, and the woman like was thanking him at the end of it. So I don't know. There's like an energy thing, right? There is like a big energy thing, and also a connotation, right? Because like when you were starting and selling that basically like low ticket offer, the market sophistication was very different than what it is now.
Yes, very much so.
You know, it's a different world.
Yeah, exactly. What the market norm is at that point. I mean, the biggest thing that I heard like in there is, first off, just like hiring 2 people. I always say that. I'm like, you need to hire 2 for it, because if you just think about if you only hired the one that was a 6%er and they were running it and they were doing it, and all you had to compare against is when you sell, which you are always going to close higher. So, but if your baseline is then, oh, wow, like this isn't a good offer then, or like the marketing must be broken or whatever, because like I hire a sales rep and they only can close at 6%. And it's like, but you hired 2 and you saw what the real baseline was, which is like, oh, this one can close 40 and this one can close 6. So it's like, I need more people like this, or here's the, like, I hear that all the time. People had a closer and like, yeah, but they can only close at 10% and I close at like 60%. And it's like, okay, that's a person issue, not a marketing messaging issue, generally speaking. Generally.
Yeah, man. And I think it goes deeper too with like all of your team. I think that's a beautiful part of what you've done, is like you've built such a huge team. But I think like sticking on the sales side again, like how do you, man, it's crazy. Like, so you had all those reps that come in and out, and some of them were like moms and shit.
Yeah.
How do you get them to like track their close rate and, you know, really dial into it, like work with the sales manager?
Yeah.
Like, how did you do it, man?
At that point in time, we were the managers. So we managed them. Me and co-founder would get in the calls. We would host the huddles. We would do all that stuff. And we tried to do like 1099 managers, and like that didn't work. And then we actually ended up bringing the top closer in as a manager, or like upgrading them to a manager, which is like the number one thing you're not supposed to do. He did that, and this dude lit everything on fire. Like it was a mess. It was a mess. So not ideal there. And then we had to have like a culture shift, and then we like lost half the team because of it. And then we had to rebuild the team. And this is all when we were making that shift from selling info to selling the coaching, high ticket coaching. So yeah, I mean, the evolution of that team basically went from there. So I just want to pull it up. So yeah, we're in the 300s, not 400s. We're in the 300s of reps now, like ID number. But we have ones that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 3 of them that are within the first, 75 reps. So like we have like OGs. Like we have multi 3-4 year reps that are from that era of they were customers and then became sales reps. And then a lot of the newer ones obviously are not, but then they a lot of the time will buy it for themselves. Or so the sales thing's interesting, man. I talk about it. I had Josh Troy on mine or whatever in that studio we were talking about. And if I kind of was like pretty objective about this, but I do not think if you're trying to build a cash flow info coaching business that you like should have a sales team internal. I think that people should use these agencies that crush with it, because it becomes, once you're above 100K a month, once you're at 250 a month, once you're in those ranges, like just forget about it. And like, that's a super overgeneralization, but you can hire these agencies that all they do is their entire focus. And if you're not like a focused salesperson, like a Cole Gordon, terrible advice for Cole Gordon, right? Like he can do this better himself. He can do it at better cost. He can do it at better efficiency. He can do it with like better economic, like everything he can do it better. We are not him. So like nobody made this offer to me back in the day, and I always push people. I'm like, go to Josh and like, do that. Like, but he's one example, and there's multiple of them where they have dedicated setters, dedicated closers, sales managers, all this stuff for like a specific fee. So it's for 20% of cash collected on the front, roughly, let's say. It is 20%. I just don't know if it's cash collected or if it's I think it's contract.
Contract,
I think
usually.
Same month. I think it's same month contract cash. So not full contract value, which is sometimes different. But we could just say first 30-day cash, 20%, I think. But it is like you hear some of these guys. I was talking to some of the guys at the event. I'm like, what's your in-house sales team cost? Like, 24%. I'm like, yeah, exactly. What's your in-house this cost? Someone's like, 23% or 28%. Some of these other guys in the room are like 15. I'm like, okay, yeah, but how big is it? Because you have your closer at 10.99, let's say. You have a setter that's 3 to 5. Keep going, keep scaling into this. And then now what do you need for sales ops? What do you need for a setter manager? What do you need for player coaches? What do you need for a closer manager? What do you need for all this? Those comp plans start stacking. And unless you're doing enough volume, it does start to get close to 20, 22, 25% Definitely. If you don't manage and the comp plan stack. So like you can build it in-house for cheaper. You can build it in-house for 15 points or 17 points or whatever. But like generally speaking, and then you're also managing the entire team. Or then you hire a manager in place, then the comp goes up again. And it's like, it becomes this thing that once you're doing volume, especially if you're selling a lot of high ticket, depending on how much volume you're doing, like you need a relatively large team, whether that's 3 reps, whether that's 8 reps, then you need around, let's say the same. Some people do 2-to-1 setter to closer. Some people go 1-to-1. So like if you had 5 reps, you'd have 10 setters, right? Because there's so much lead flow that they can just push and qualify and do all that. So you have 15, 20 people. How big is the rest of your company? 5 people, right? Like it becomes the biggest, biggest part of your entire company, which means head count equals headache at some level. So like if you're not able to, you have an emotional week or 2 weeks, which not going to say it's not going to happen with an agency, but like that's your only cash generation source. They decide to do this and this, like it's crazy.
Fuck man, yeah, that's really shifted my perspective on it. I actually have a different perspective on it initially, which was my idea was I was fearful to use an agency because they didn't really give a shit about the brand. They gave a shit about sales, right?
Yes.
So they could say things or do things that would influence the sale but may jeopardize the brand. Or so let me give an example.
Yeah,
so
you can do that in house too.
yes. But let me give an example. So I have a client right now, doing 7 million a year, and we moved them from an agency to in-house sales teams. So we help them build a sales team, setters, closers. Our thing for a long time has always been, setting off organic content and then the closing. So we've moved into that with them. Now, the reason why they wanted to do that is because the sales agency, they were strategically moving around their best closer to the best offers and clients they had. So let's say if that company was doing like, let's say 400K or 500K in a month, they would move it around and a new guy would come in. So this guy would come in super fucking green and they just had no control. I think it was around 20 to 25% in total that they were giving up for it. So of course there's pros and cons to absolutely everything, but that's what made me think initially was like, it has to always be in-house. But you've kind of shifted my perspective on that as well, which is like, if someone can take care of it for you and they're not going to fuck up the brand, yeah, go ahead, right?
Yeah, because the idea, listen, I'm here saying this and quick number on this. The team stack is 26 closers, 24, so 50 plus management.
What?
Right?
What the fuck?
So, and like, again, and I'm very clear on the fact that there's some and that's a bunch of new that haven't even started, that some need to churn. Like there's, that's not the net number of like where we're going to land to be at these numbers, like just saying, but close to. And so I say that with W2 entire team, everyone's employed, everyone has, base draws, everyone has 401k and benefit. Like, I took it to the nth. So like to see the other side and the other perspective of it, that's like, listen, if I was running an info coaching cash flow focused business, profit focused, like just that type of business, I could see it being in-house and being lean and keeping, just having it 10% and just trying to like really refine it and just have like some attraction-based sales. What can you do? It's basically what can you do from a marketing standpoint that's organic or paid that makes your cash gears, that makes it so it's lean and light and fun and like all that. But you start to get into like these volume things when it's like a lot of iteration, you really need like true sales. You need some of that stuff. Like you need your CRM baked. You need like all your deals updated. You have 300 deals a day that you need updated. Like you need admin and ops and like that is real. So all to say, if you could just focus on marketing and you could just focus on product and like ascension and LTV and all of that and not worry about this piece, at some level, I think that's a really good trade-off for very likely what is the same cost.
Yeah, man.
With less headache, with less whatever. Like, and again, you can play both sides. I literally live in the land of the other side. So like, I can see both. If I was to do it again, I would still do this because of what we're trying to build. If I was, when I bit whatever, some info coaching cash flow biz, I very likely will just, once you get to a certain range, like, yes, you want your guys in-house, like you need to be doing 100K, 250K, whatever. A lot of the time for these agencies to even take you, because you need to show that you have product market fit. You need to show that you have like consistent lead flow. You need to show that you have your economics back out for your 5K, 10K ticket. Like you need to show that works before you're like deploying this team, because they won't even work with you. Like the good guys, like the big guys won't even work with you until you're doing those numbers.
So how many calls are you booking a day?
A lot. Hundreds.
But Hundred. Where does it all come from? So on the back of the $39 fucking ebook, and then the bump, and then the bump.
That's very low volume for us.
Like how do you? So you've
there's probably
26 closers, and they're all full calendars for the most part.
Oh yeah, we were booked out. Yeah, we overbooked through the weekend on accident, which is like pretty rare for us because we try not to do that ever because it's just burning ad spend a lot of the time. But we like aggressively overbooked.
And you take off Saturdays and Sundays?
No,
Monday to Friday. Okay.
Yeah, but when the volume changes, that's another thing. So like another benefit you get of W-2 versus 1099, which we haven't even felt because we haven't standardized it. Like there's so many standardizations around the sales team that we're changing and rolling out now. But like when you're W-2 versus 1099, you can like mandate schedules and stricter stuff like that. When they're 1099 in US world, like you can't do that. Like you can't tell them they have specific hours. You can't tell them they have specific things because that like leans into employment versus, contract. So when we wanted to start doing that, we legally and because of everything, we were like, okay, cool. It's time to move them to W-2. They're no longer like gunslingers. It's like, here are the tools and like work when you want. It's like, we want a more consistent cadence. Mm-hmm. But another thing around paid is, let's say you have 100 open spots throughout the week. It's very common to then have 50 open spots on Saturday, Sunday, or 30 open spots on Saturday, Sunday, because sales reps, same way, they want to have their weekend. They want to do their thing. It's a normal person, right? Like they want to work a cadence. So unless you have it like mapped to where it's actually 80 or 90 as your throughput and you move those shifts over into the weekend, if you're spending 10K a day across this, when it hits Friday, you've been booking 100 calls a day because you're trying to get the efficiency, and then you're trying to book 100 call a day, and now all of a sudden you book out the entire weekend on Friday, and you're burning cash on Saturday into Sunday when now they can book into Monday, Tuesday. The time frame they're booked out is longer, so they're less likely to show. Like it's this whole economics thing of like, where do you need to be? And that is nice, the beauty of paid, because you can kind of throttle it. But like, it's very difficult to have your ad budgets here and then here and then here and then here on a weekly basis, like very difficult. So you want to optimize for what's the number through, or what other ways can you get bookings on the calendar or not? So that's what you're saying. Like, what are their funnels? What are their emails to the current list? What are their setter paths? What are their buyer funnels? What other things can you do to like maintain that percentage booking? So we have like a Google script that reads how many calendar availabilities are 30 days out, day on day. So like I can tell you on what today is July 21st. I can tell you how many open spots I have on August 19th.
Wait, hold up. So you booked that far out?
No, I only book 48 hours out, but I want to know for availability so we can throttle spend.
Interesting. Okay. And then because obviously there's hundreds of calls being booked, is all of like your triaging done with AI or it's done manually? Like manually, how do we...
Manually. So we have setters. Yeah. So setters confirm. So there's like this whole flow of like the Jeremy Haynes talks about like back-end sales systems. So we have what's on the thank you page. We have what emails go out. We have what content. We have what ads do they get hit with inside the booking window. They can only book 48 hours out. But we have a setter team that double dial, voicemail, text, whatever, tries to reach that reaches them like instant, like within sub 4 minutes, as soon as possible. They fire into Slack channel, they claim them, they dial them, and they confirm the call. And that alone is like bink on your show rates. Huge.
Yeah. Huge.
Because they talk to them, they qualify them. They also will remove them from the calendar. If one, they don't confirm, or two, they're not a good fit. They'll remove them because
that's what we've had to do now with paid. Because as a result, we're getting a lot of bookings, but now they're not hitting confirm. So we're just assuming that if they don't hit confirm, and that's the first message we hit them with. If they don't hit confirm, we're just assuming they're not going to show up.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Ravi talks about that, which is like
Yeah.
if they hit confirm, there's like a 90% chance they'll show up or some shit. And then if they watch the following VSL you send them, then there's like it increases the close rate basically by 50% or something.
I have exact stats for you. You want to know some exact stats?
And this is the thing, right? Because the difference between, I can just, talk from my own experience, the difference between like us doing 100K and us doing 300K is these small details. So I can't imagine the impact it has between...
On the same volume, if you're doing 100 right here, you start, that's what I was saying earlier, is like, you get some 3% lift here, a 5% lift here, a 12% lift here, and whatever these different spots. And the earlier you get those lifts, the more, right? Because if you get a 5% change on your opt-in page, that is whatever the volume more valuable than 5% on your close rate.
Yeah.
Right. Because the throughput goes like this, right? Like the earlier, it's a leverage thing, right? It's like the earlier you can make that little tweak, the more it makes its way to the back end versus if you just didn't make it until the tail end, then it's like dink versus this. So if you can make those adjustments, because you're playing with all this stuff. So like, here's exact numbers for this month. I have double screen thing going on here, but like, so over here, it's how many confirmed bookings so how many setters dialed and actually confirmed them, not claimed them. They claim 100%. How many did they confirm? Of the ones they confirmed, they had an 83% show rate month to date from cold.
What?
From marketing bookings only. So the marketing booking bucket is 82% show rate, but they only claimed 60% of the bookings. I'm sorry, they only confirmed 60% of the bookings. They claimed, right? So 40% of them didn't even answer, didn't even respond back after they made the booking. So now I have to work backwards and go, okay, what is broken in marketing to make it so 40% so if I'm getting 100 bookings, 40 of them are canceling, they're not responding, they're whatever, because why? What did they try to apply for and book for that as soon as they booked, now they don't want to? Did they Google something? Is there something on the thank you page that is completely different than what they thought that they were applying, right? Like where is the mental shift? Where's the frame break on why they applied and booked versus once they've booked that now they don't want to respond? And you're going to have your whatever, 5%, 10% that are just like shopper or like whatever they are, right? Where they're just not going to, but like that's a bigger percent. So we're like, what's wrong with that? So we look at the thank you page. We're like, oh, like this doesn't make sense. Or, oh, this email we're sending them now like is like, hey, here's what this is. When before it was like this whole other frame. So we made that shift and adjustment. And it was like, think, it was like, oh, there's another 10%. Like, oh, there's another 10%. And like some of these simple things. And like we had rolled out all those things on thank you page based on XYZ belief. And it was correct for that belief or that theory or whatever we were trying to do. But like now where we're at and what we're trying to do, we're like, oh, it would make sense if we change this to this. And like just making that shift was like this jump. And that was a week and a half ago. So it's like, yeah. So
crazy. But it's always the small changes. It's just always the small changes, man.
Yeah. It's like the fundamental thing. And then once you crack the fundamental thing, the fundamental offer, the fundamental whatever, it's like, now how do you get throughput through it? How do you optimize around? Because like even what you said earlier, they're not showing, they're not whatever, right? In that realm, it's like the everything's a funnel. Everything's a funnel. It's like you have these different points and it's like, okay, wait a minute. So is the throughput through that funnel, if you had the most qualified person ever coming through, sure, generally speaking, your costs are going to go up because you have this application that's 30 questions or like kicks out everyone if they're under these metrics or whatever. Yeah. But like, would that throughput just be higher? Could you have a smaller sales team? Could you have 2 reps because you have 100 bookings a day right now? But like, could you just have 60 bookings a day, but almost all of them show and they're the exact ICP and quality? Like that's the game you have to start to play. But are those of those 40%, if you had a better sales team or if you had a whatever, could you close out of that range more because they're better sales reps, or are they just not the ICP? So like, what's the core thing? And then what are the optimizations to get 2%, 5%, 10%? But if you haven't cracked the core thing, which is where most of these guys are when they're beginner, offer's not good enough. The how they're displaying or showing the offer isn't good enough. How they are communicating it in the VSL, their King Tech is broken on something. Like there's so many of these things. That's why I'm always like start low budgets, because like shit will break. Your data comes in, now all of a sudden you don't know your numbers. Like you can't scale into not knowing your numbers, like fix your numbers, like all that stuff. So like start small and test and test and test, not like overnight, cool, I'm going to spend $3,000 a day in budgets. Or work with one of these guys that have done it and they generally take percent. So they take whatever, but like once they crack it, you're like, oh, And I'm kind of back and forth on that, because once you do that, it's like, what, do you leave them and then you just took all their stuff? Like, people play that game differently, but I don't know. I don't really play that game, but
dude, I think an observation or a lesson I'm learning right now is like, I just need more fucking volume.
yes,
Like,
correct. That's what I was hearing.
You know, as like, we have the team, we have great product, get great results, have great testimonials. We just need to ship more volume, and like that's what we're doing with our new ads agency. But we've had a few, as you said, like tech issues. Just dumb shit, right? It's always dumb shit. But just
always dumb shit. Yeah,
it's just such dumb shit. But like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, I just need to stop being a bit of a princess and just ramp this shit out of the spend.
Yeah.
Because like all of this stuff is actually in place. The setter calling thing I need to do. We do because we're based obviously international. It's WhatsApp triaging. It's like 80% effective.
Yeah,
I would say
exactly. I mean, like,
70%,
again, like, our
80%.
market's all US, so we don't touch WhatsApp. But like, when I was doing this stuff and joining Iman's thing, consulting Quantum now, like, that was he was reaching out to me in WhatsApp, and like, I literally, like, I had it on my phone, and I like saw it, and I was like, what is this? Because I literally had no communication on WhatsApp. And like, then I was one of the people who I wanted the offer enough, I understood enough that when I then saw that, I was like, okay, cool, I'll just change where I communicate. But like, if you're doing volume and you're doing this, like, you want to play to where they are. So like, me being a US number or whatever, like, probably would have been better for them to reach out to me on SMS, probably like iMessage, right? But iMessage, again, much different than green bubble SMS, that land of like what all the automations and tools use.
Interesting. I have no idea about that, right?
So like, in iMessage, so in iMessage you get blue text. So like, if I get like if I get SMS, they come in green, right? So like, if I go to text this back, it's like a green bubble that like shows like that.
Yeah.
Right. And then like, versus iMessage shows like when someone's typing and like can send this and that, and like you can go back and forth. So like, iMessage is like more real of a person. So
it's more like personal.
Yeah. So like, that's this whole other software game, and you want another lift. And like, this other thing is like, people have softwares now that send blue messages, and or people get their entire sales team iPhones. Like, and now I'm talking US market a lot, but like, that's a whole nother game. But that's another just 5 or 10 or 30% lift. We rolled it out and we got 2.5 times the show rate. I'm sorry, not 2.5 times show rate, 2.5 times the response rate, which then had the throughput further. Because now if you're getting responses this early in the funnel, how many now more of them come through and book? Right? So it's like,
fucking hell, bro. When you're running these calls, the sales calls, like respectfully, like the women you're selling to are like 46-year-old, like kind of like desperate housewives, right? So like, how do they know what a sales call is? Like, fully transparent. Do they know? Like, do they know like they're getting in for like a 45-minute session?
Yes. They don't necessarily. So
that.
Sometimes. So like, the framing of ours is not like, oh, like, you'll see the guys who do, and I like it a lot, honestly, but like, you'll do it where it's like, how do I frame this? But
bait and switch or some shit.
Yeah, we don't bait and switch, but there's like the guys who do here's exactly what my offer is. Like Daniel, I'm blanking. I don't know how to say his last name, but like, he'll do it where it's like, here's the VSL is basically just like a sales script, or like a walkthrough of like what the product is. Here's the exact offering. Here's how much it costs. Here's this and this. Now like, book a call below. Here are all the offer benefit. Like, here's all the stuff. And it's such a good offer that he can just use it as the marketing. So it'd be like literally a loom of like, here's the doc, here's what's included, here's what you're buying, click here to apply. And then they know that they're applying to literally pay for this thing. And you're like, sales reps, a cashier, right? Like, at mass volume or like B2C, that generally doesn't work unless it's so good of an offer that it makes sense. If you're just trying to sell someone direct, so you have to shift the framing. It's like, there's a consultation. This is like me seeing if you're a good fit for our program. Even like, yes, we talk about the program, but it's more about like, is this a good fit for you? Or, you know, would it work for you? Let's do a consultation. Let's do some discovery. Let's like figure out some things. A lot of people do it as like that's what the whole consultation strategy session thing came from, was like, let me see if we can help you. Let me hear about what your problems are. Let me give you this value if you show up to the call. Like, oh, hey, if you show up to the call, you're going to get this and this and this and this. Takeaways direct from the call, whether you buy anything or not. Right? So ours is more in that world than the other camp of like, here's exactly what you're applying for, buying and doing right now, which is going to have, generally speaking, a much higher call close rate. Much higher. They have all the education. They have all the information. They know how much it costs. Like, what objection are they going to come? You didn't see that it was 25 grand. You literally applied on a page. You clicked on the end of the application. Hi, I know that literally people do this on the end of their application. I know that I'm applying for this and this. I will show for my call. And I understand that this is a heavy financial investment. Check the box. Like, you're going to tell me that person who shows up for the call isn't much more educated, much more ready to make a purchasing decision than the other.
That's kind of what we do, I would say.
I love that. It's model. Like, they all work. They all work.
It's a lot. It's obviously a lot less volume, right? But what I mean is, like, if we get 10 qualified calls a day, like, that's like very, very good, right? Like, very, very good for us. But the form, bro, like, the form is like getting into Stanford. And the reason being is because our client success managers, it was because we fucked up our own thing in the beginning. Like, this was like last year. Our client success managers were taking the calls. So the more we'd sign, the less time we'd have, and the more time less time we'd have with the less calls we could take. So it had to be very screwed, like a very tight one. And now that we have like proper closers in place, it can be a little bit more open. I'm just thinking now, if you look at Ravi's, right? Like, Ravi has like fucking 4 questions. It's like, will you show up? How much money are you making? How can I help you? That's literally it.
Yeah.
It's like, are you ready to go?
Ravi's a legend, dude. Ravi's stuff. And then, I mean, his all then is lead scoring. It's confirming. There's the post stuff that happens. And again, now I just did a video with him and just put it on my channel last week. And he was talking about how they're doing size. And it's almost I think it's exclusively organic. I'm sure he does. I mean, for a long time, I know he did a lot of paid. But like all the stuff he pushes right now, no, he does do paid. He does do paid a little bit right now. But he'll send those. One of his ads is a screenshot of Hyros dashboard. And I'm like, only people who know Hyros know what that is. And literally the entire thing on like last click or first click or whatever it is like YouTube video, YouTube organic, YouTube organic, YouTube organic. And he's showing that so many of his high tickets, like 8K, 16K, 18K, are all coming from his YouTube organic. So he sends them to, last I looked, but he sends them to a DTA funnel. So headline, VSL, application on page, testimonial wall. They apply through, they book on the phone call. They have come from organic. Like, I love a DTA funnel for organic. I think it makes a ton of sense. It allows them to have more consumption if they want. It allows you to pitch the offer specific on what they're applying for inside the video, right? Versus trying to send them through some other thing or some full opt-in funnel that you need for cold because they need all the consumption. They can't apply. They have to go through jump through these hoops to get there. Versus organic, the assumption is they have XYZ consumption already. They're already 80% of the way through. Now they're clicking in for whatever the offer is. And then you're briefing them on what the offer is and apply below. Like, that's the methodology around it. And then, yes, of course, you can be like, oh, by the way, if you just want 2 sales reps and want to do 10 calls a day, but they're crazy qualified, amazing. Now, turning on ads all of a sudden tomorrow to true cold, not people who've seen your face, which is not going to be in the beginning generally, usually with the algorithms, but or with targeting or whatever you want to call it. But trying to run paid direct to that exact page, generally speaking, is not going to work. They don't have the consumption. They don't have the frame. They don't have any of that stuff. And now all of a sudden you're going to ramp them to this page. The apply button's right there. They can instantly apply. They don't even have to watch the video above. You have no idea if they've watched anything prior. And now you're just going to want them to apply. Like, the framing of it's different. The consumption levels of it different. The friction is too low. Like, there's too many of these things for someone who's cold, who has no idea who you are. Generally speaking.
Levels of awareness, right? Like, levels of awareness of your audience. What do they know of you? Because I know that, like, the way Ravi structures it, I had a podcast with him on this, was like, he has like every one of his links for every one of his YouTube videos all tracked and so on. And then it is going to that straight landing page and then straight to book from there. At what point would you say, like, you can over-track data, or would you always overemphasize it? Just curious from an observation perspective.
Like you're doing too much?
Yeah, like, I'll give an example. So our new ads agency guy, he was kind of saying, like, we could calm down a small bit on tracking fucking every source from everything, just because, like, we'll have a meltdown in the beginning ourselves personally. But then if you look at, like, Ravi, like, every single video
I would not agree with that.
In what way? Sorry.
I mean, just like foundationally speaking, like, I don't know why you wouldn't. Like, of course, at some level, like, if there's too many data points and too many, like, because you're tracking data so that you can make better decisions. Plain and simple. So yeah, if you have 5,000 touch points and all this stuff, and like, it's not telling you a story, or you can't make a decision based on it, like, yeah. But if it's automated, tracked, sitting there, like, why would you not store the data? Because you can't go back and store that data.
Yeah.
So my opinion on it is store as much as possible. Just understand, what are you making decisions based on? What are the core metrics you're actually focused on? Because you could literally track, like, let's say you have 100 YouTube videos. You could have 100 tracking links, but like, you want 100 tracking links, because if you don't, and then all of a sudden you get all these bookings, you're like, where are they coming from? And you don't know because you didn't set it up for what? Like, why would you not, if you already have the awareness of like, oh, I need to track these things, or, oh, this should be set up. Same way that when I say, like, if you're running paid, a lot of the time, I know guys who do 15 million a month in info, or it's like 12 to 15 million a month in info coaching. And they have completely dedicated funnels for different traffic sources. So like, okay, imagine this. You have one DTA funnel, okay, that you're running organic at, and you're tracking Hyros or whatever, all your different links, so you know which YouTube video they came from, okay? But they're all going to one lander. Now you're going to implement paid. First off, I would say have a different one for paid, right? Because you want to be able to know that it came from paid. You can do UTMs, you can pass it through the form, you can do all this stuff, sure. But like, again, very likely you're going to want different context, different consumption method, different something with paid versus organic. Now, to take a step further, when you have this paid one, I know guys who will run Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and those will have different funnels entirely, the whole thing. So they'll have a different landing page, they'll have a different application page, they'll have a different booking page, they'll have a different everything for Google versus Meta versus whatever, because at scale, that tracking conflicts so much, which is crazy.
Well, explain how it conflicts.
Because it'll pass back to both.
Oh, because you're using the same page as coming in, like the booking.
So the pixel data gets skewed where it thinks it's Google versus Meta versus whatever. And like, again, these are like scale problems, not launch, not beginner problems. But like, that's a real thing, to where if they're coming in, or they hit this funnel and then this funnel and then this funnel, which one is it tracking?
Yeah.
Right. And like, oh, Hyros just solves it by just sending whatever. And it's like, yes and no, but like, it wouldn't even conflict if they were on their own dedicated, because they only did hit this, or they only did hit this, and those are unique to themselves.
And I guess, like, for people listening who aren't fucking making $17 million, like, the simple track with this is like, you can just use different booking links. Like for iClose, we just have one. We have YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Just get on with it for now. You know,
for your bookings. Yeah, but now imagine if you want to go a step further or earlier, and you wanted it for the application, and you wanted it for the lead, and you wanted it for the whatever. Like, but 100%. Like, right now we have 4 or 5 like core booking links that are tracked, like you're saying, that are tracked differently. Like, we have a DQ versus a normal one. So like, we still will accept bookings that are disqualified because we want the volume, and because they still do close. That are disqualified because our financial qualifier is not like tried and true. Like, if it's like somebody who's like, oh, I only accept clients who are making over 100K a month, right? Like, that's not our world. So we'll have people that would land in that aren't making 100K bucket that'll still close for us. And that's like just an example. But we don't fire the pixel on that. So it goes through a different booking link. It goes through different pages. They don't have any scripts on page. They don't fire a Facebook or any events, like any of that stuff. And we route them.
Fuck. Question for you on that. So a lot of our clients, you know, like they're fitness people, relationships, a lot of relationship clients. And just for context, I don't know how much you know about our business, like, but we're helping them grow their business with content, organic. And then we've had to heavily train them on sales because we were growing the shit out of their accounts and helping them, whether it's done for you, done with you. But the biggest thing was people couldn't close a door, let alone a 6K PIF, right? So we had to teach them sales. That was a huge component of it. So there's content sales side. And I asked that because a big issue a lot of people have in the kind of personal development health space is that financial qualification question. Is how do we say this elegantly to not scare away people, because you can sell.
It's huge on B2C.
How do you do that delicately? I'll just give you an observation. The way that we do it for ours is like, obviously we have a current revenue, future revenue, but then we also say like, look, we're looking for how much do they have available to invest? What's our capital requirements? Because we're trying to fit them with the best product.
Yeah. So ours, so how I would do that, or how we're doing this at least, and then how I would apply it to that is, how much have you invested in how much have you invested to try and fix your relationship in the past? How much have you invested thus far in trying to solve this relationship problem?
Why is that
Zero to
valuable though
1,000,
to
0 to
understand?
1,000, 1 to 5,000, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 plus. Like, what's the number? Like, what have you paid in therapy? What have you paid to other coaches? What have you, whatever? Because the first thing you're going to get is the people who are in the X thousand, whatever. Those people are generally speaking like qualified, right? Like they have the direct financial means. That's what I was saying though. The 0 to 1Ks might be someone who like they're in the biggest pain point ever because they've never even close to solve this and they can still afford it. But the people who have already spent tens of thousands or whatever, like a way higher percentage of those people are already going to have the means. So like it's like a back-ended way to figure out the question. Instead of being like, how much money do you make? How much is in your checking account? Like, what is this and this? Like, that's one world of how to do it. The other world of how to do it is just soft credit pulls. So you get name, email, phone number, whether it's on your opt, your application, or whatever. Then you use a tool. LeadFi is a good one. There's 2 or 3 of them, and it pulls their credit API 3 seconds, hits your CRM. And then you can either route them based on it, or you can just have the information for when your sales reps talk. And now in your CRM, you have how much access to borrowing they can get through a BNPL. You have what was their income. You have what is their all that stuff.
That's not like known elsewhere in other countries, as far as I know. So wait, hold on.
As long as you have, so I guess maybe I don't know if that's worldwide. I mean, definitely US based on based on these other things.
I don't think it is worldwide, dude. I'm fully transparent, or unless I've been living under the fucking.
It's a definite thing around here. We don't use it because our ticket's not high enough. So I haven't used it because it doesn't make sense. But like anybody I know that sells something that's over 10K generally uses it.
So it's like a credit score. You can check your credit score effectively.
Yeah, you're basically pulling it from the credit bureaus, and it's like what was their income last year? Basically, what is their like rating? What is their this, and then you can route them based on that. You can completely DQ people based on it. But like that also runs into an issue sometimes if it's like your spouse, like has people single file or this or this. It's like the wife says that she on paper makes like 30 grand, but like the family income is 500. Like there's still issues in the data, but it's cleaner than a subjective how much have you invested in the past. But that one works for us a lot. So like the math for that, we'll then route people based on that to top reps as well. Okay. So like people who answer the higher numbers go to the top reps because they're the highest likelihood to close.
Would you? I have so many questions, dude. But would you, even on that specifically, is there any scope for asking them like what they actually do, right? As in like looking at.
Not for our offer.
So how do you know when to cancel them? Like how are they unqualified?
They based on the financial qualifier directly. That's like the only direct one we have right now. That'll actually like just automatically DQ them. But then DQ ones still land on the calendar. So we still take all the calls. The only time you're going to take someone off the calendar is if they don't confirm, if they don't answer.
Would you not have a question that says like, investing carries X amount of weight, whatever. I have the resources. I can get the resources. I do not have the resources. Do you have a question like that?
We used to in the OG days, and then we ended up yanking it. And like again, we play more of a volume game. We play more of a volume game.
So interesting.
But again, not to say that's the right way to do it. Like even when we were talking about in your model, like I was like, oh, have a 7 to 12 minute video or whatever that explains what the offer is exactly, talks about how much it costs, triple confirms them in the application that they understand the cost, and you get 10 calls a day, but you close 8 of them. That's just a different model. Like they both work. But like you got to think like the entire funnel scope. So it's like if you're paying for ads, this is where your costs are, right? You're paying for eyeballs. So your cost is here, and then it's just a division problem all the way back. So it's like, now how many of those people opt in? Okay, if it's 20% divided by 0.2 now of what the cost per click was or whatever, now it's like, now you have your opt-in cost or your lead cost. And then what percentage of those people then apply, and it's 30% and divided by 0.3. And it's like, now this is what your cost is per app. And you start to go down this thing all the way to what is your cost per sale. It's the only thing that directly really matters. Like, of course, there's 19 other metrics you can look at, but like, what's your cost per sale? So if you have a 20K thing or a 5K thing or a 1K thing, like the economics of what this can be changes, right? On what you can pay for a booking, what you can pay for these things. So if you have the whole framing and the messaging congruent with you're applying for this specific program, here's exactly what this offer is, exactly what this is. That's like Hormozi's whole model is like, if you have a better offer, you get more clicks for the same eyeballs. You get more opt-ins for the same clicks. You get more booked calls for for the same opt-in. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything goes up because the offer is better and more in alignment. So it's like, if I'm like, oh, this whole thing's free, this is free, you get all this amazing free stuff, and all of a sudden now it's paid. It's like, like incongruent. But like, you have to thread that line on how do you do volume, but also understand that like, yeah, you get all this free value, but then this part's paid. This part is where you start to pay us. So yeah, we play volume on that transition, because it's like, here's all this free shit you get, but then if you want, personalization, accountability done for you, like all these pieces done for you, like that's where you start to go unpaid, or you just consume all the free stuff.
Fuck, man, this is so interesting, man. It's just a complete different school of thought. It really, from what I'm,
and neither are right, or they're both right.
Well, if you think about it, right, like how much money you've made, the margins you have.
Yeah, the margin. I've talked about this public, but like the margins are not good right now. Someone made a video and was like, "Oh, on stage I said 10%," and it's like not necessarily true. But like because we got so big with team size and because we're all paid, it eats the P&L a lot. So like when we were doing info only, we didn't have fulfillment costs, and the margin was really, or like the CPA was really good, and we had no fulfillment cost. So it's like piece of the P&L pretty tight and good. Piece of the P&L damn near non-existent, right? Like there was no direct fulfillment cost, and then the margin was good in this land. And we also had everyone 1099 because they were just gunslinging sales reps that worked whenever they want and did whatever they want. So like they were classified as that. Again, margin saver. So like in that land, yes, it was like 30, 40 points. Once we started to scale into the coaching, it was still around like that 30-ish. And then when things started to break, it was like all of a sudden, or I guess margin more so, it was going like this and going like, cool, now it's 25, now it's 20, now it's like 15. We made this huge partnership error. We did all these things, and like we got railed last year because we just didn't know what we didn't know. We aggressively ramped into everything and had this big vanity metric number of, oh, cool, we did 30 last year. But we technically made more dollars in profit, but margin took a big dive, as like a percentage, took a big dive. Now, when we were trying to eat out of that and like get back to normal, we like gutted everything, only doing $1.5 million a month. We have a massive team. We have only ad spend that we only have that we can generate clients right now because we don't have an organic engine. So you add those two up, overhead plus all the spend, it's like we're breaking even basically at $1.5 million. Now that we're like whatever up to 3 million, it's making money. And then now that we're in renewal season plus this, like so we have LTV back end money, and then we also have CPA coming down, and we're getting to more volume, so it overtakes the overhead. Now it's starting to make like, we're at 4 right now. Like it's making solid money. Like again, like 5, 7, 8, 10 are like the targets. I want to be at 30% plus in order to scale.
So again, I always have 100 questions when you talk, because you say so much things that are so valuable. Do you think that like the model you have right now checks out to get you to like 10 million a month?
Yes.
So what is the constraint of you getting to there? What's actually the reason why you can't?
Right now, sales is the number one thing. So the conversion, like the leaky bucket that exists there, to where if you get 100 bookings a day, how many of those should close? It's not backing out. So that's like a team structure. We just got a new chief of sales that started last Monday, so 7 days ago. That is a whale in the space. So like full belief over there. How long does that take to implement? 30 days, 90 days, whatever. Like that needs to be fleshed out. And in the interim, making money throughout it, obviously. Once that is ready, then it's availability, and then it's marketing, making sure it can fill their calendars consistently with qualified people. Right now, marketing does not have its own income generation bucket. Like it doesn't sell direct to cart. It's literally just generating bookings. So it can't make its own money. So like once sales is ready, marketing can fill it. And then once I bucket those as acquisition, once those live over here in acquisition, my entire goal is to go live in product, retention, renewal. What else can we sell them? And I have big plans over there on how that is going to work. And that is like the crazy margin. That's you're selling to your customer base now. That's you're continuing to sell them more things. You're selling them other things. Like I have big plans over there, but I just didn't want to lose focus of, because if this like didn't work, the whole company doesn't work.
And dude,
so like focus on acquisition, then focus on LTV for us is how I've been looking at it.
Sorry, and you touch on this lightly though, but what was the reason for it breaking? Like I know you had like the partnership issues and stuff like this, but like
no, partnership was fine at that point. It was more so around partnership was fine. If I can give praise right now, public, whatever, to like the co-founders who built this, like again, and like all the praise, like they are product market fit. They were all the initial, like, oh my God, I remember I met them in person for the first time after working for months in Bali, flew out there, met them in Bali, yeah, they had they were out there for probably 4 or 5 months and then would, bop to Singapore. But they invited me out, and I had been doing like page builds and random stuff for 3 months, 6 months, somewhere in that range, and just worked digitally, never met in person before. And they invited me out. I flew out and I stayed with them for like a month out there. And then COVID hit, and then I flew back and zipped out like right when it hit. So it was whatever that was, like 2020. And it was all low ticket game. We did that. But I literally remember sitting in there and like the co-founder, brand face, all that. They literally recorded like 9 iterations of a VSL and hundreds of ads from like morning to night. Like they are grinders. They are what made this, created it, came up with the name, the ideation, the product market fit, all that stuff. So like rock on there. What happened later when everything started to do its thing and then took off and was doing, $3 million a month and up and to the right, getting 15 things, honestly, if I could be honest with you, but like everything was leaking. Everything was breaking at the seams. Marketing, CPA was increasing. We had a very lean marketing team and an agency. So the agency is like trying to do XYZ things, and all on the paid side. So they're doing all the paid, all the creative, like all the media buying and all the creative. And they're 13% of something on ad spend. We're spending $1 million a month. We're paying them $130,000 a month to run this shit. And CPA is going like this. So like it's costing more to acquire a customer, and we're paying these guys this huge dollar value. So it's like not good. And all in the end, it was because we were ramming it into this one acquisition funnel, which was this one opt-in funnel that couldn't take more. It needed to be cooled down and run at lower budgets and have other acquisition methods. And we didn't have them because we didn't have the wherewithal. We didn't have the understanding. We didn't have the whatever. So we're ramming it into here. We also kind of have our foot off the pedal because we're like, this is fucking great. Who cares? Like we weren't taking it as seriously. Then you bop over into the product side, and product has always been really good. Product has always been brand quality, all that stuff. But it was like fulfillment of the contract. So it was like, you signed up for a year and us to get you this result, and like we're going to gung ho and do it, and client wins, channel fires off. But it wasn't framed in a way that this is like year forever or like having anything else to sell them or anything like that. So we didn't have something else to sell them. It was just more of the same. And even the more of the same wasn't optimized. Coaches don't want to sell. So we didn't have a back end sales team. We didn't have other offers. We didn't have any of that stuff. So it's like you stack those on top of each other where the LTV is coming down, the cost is going up. We shift everyone to W-2 to be this big business now. Costs go up again. It's like we do a bad partnership where we spend 1.15 million or something, make 100K back, literal $1 million burn, straight cash burn. Like you stack all those up, not cool. Couldn't fill calendars now, fire the marketing thing, try and hire a new one. Like it was a shit show coming out of like Q3 or roughly out of Q3. So like 2 months from now of last year.
And dude, how did you personally like handle this?
My world of this and like connection to this, this was an info coaching cash flow business for a long time. The focus was that we all have other interests. There's so much horsepower that almost like too many chefs in the kitchen sometimes of like the different partners and the different players and key people in the company. It's like, we have to do these big numbers for this to even be exciting for us because I'm interested in this over here. Other founders interested in this over here. Oh, it's making a bunch of money. People like with their feet kicked back, like the leadership level, like where we were sitting with things, who's on the team, how are they incentivized, like all of that. So when it started to do that, we already had all the cash in the checking. We already had all this stuff, but like it was just starting to do this basically pay for itself, but like dwindle slowly, pay for itself, dwindle slowly. So we had like this reframe set up. Who's going to drive this? How is it going to be like XYZ way? My involvement actually increased. As you can tell, my involvement then increased in XYZ way, and other people kind of like stepped a little to their world and their role. Like, okay, I'll own this. Oh, I'll own this. Oh, I'll own this. And we're like, let's take this into a massive business so that none of us have this like, oh, I wish I was going to do this other thing, or I wish like I could make so much more money over here or somewhere else or doing this. We're like, let's do it all here or at the core here. And I talk about this, like I'm going to continue to do this info coaching stuff, do this kind of talk because it supplementally helps the main business. When I go to these events, when I talk to other people in info coaching, when I hear you talk about stuff like that, I'm like, oh, what's an interesting offer we could have? Like, I'm not going to go play over in software or like real estate or something, but like I'm going to have the info coaching core thing. And then I'm going to have the main info coaching business. That's going to be massive. And both of those tied together is like fulfilling in interest, fulfilling in network, fulfilling in financial, in all those ways. So now it's like, let's sprint. So like in that time, it was kind of like gray. I was trying to kind of figure it out. I was moving. I was like doing all this other stuff. I was like, it'll be okay. And then we're like, let's do this. And now fast forward.
Fuck, man. And like even yourself personally, when things are going really badly, like how did you maintain?
I made videos. I want to, one day I'll do this. You look at the stripe chart and it's like 1.45, 1.5, 1.55, like whatever. And I started making those daily videos then. I have videos on the channel where I'm like, oh yeah, we lost 30 grand today because, or I think it was 30 grand over 2 days. We lost 15 G's. We basically spent like, I don't even remember the exact math, but let's say we spent 60 grand. We made back like 35 G's, like true cash, which we have never been that bad and low ever. Like it's one thing if you're getting like 1x ROAS. It's another thing if you're literally losing money at like the size we're at and the stuff. Like it was not good. But I was making videos every day throughout that because I was like, I understand what needs to happen. Even today, it's like I know what needs to happen, and now it's just like execution. And of course, there's stuff that I don't understand or stuff that'll break, or like I'm very, very aware that like I don't know everything. And like I just know from what we've been through and like with the pieces of like what needs to happen right now, and then we can worry about the next problem. But like right now, this thing can be solved for. So yeah, I literally have videos that are, hey, we lost 30 grand today or in 2 days, and then we did it. We had six. I don't know if I shared in that chat, but we had like a 600K day. Like, yeah.
How do you still maintain your fitness yourself through this? Because like obviously you can work forever, right? Yeah, man. Because like you could obviously there's so much shit going on that you could spend all your days in the sales problem, all your day in the fucking content problem, in a HR problem. But then you've obviously maintained like a good standard of living, like you're fit, you're healthy, like young looking dude. Like it's a very unique position that you're in, right? Like how have you fucking balanced everything?
Again, there's a lot of horsepower in the team. So I can sit here at this desk and work 16 hours a day and like, oh, I'm in this and I'm in this and I'm in this. And like, I did that. Like when I was doing the YouTube videos and main co and like the side, and like trying to do all that. Like I was like, oh, I'm at this desk 16 hours a day. Like that's my inefficiency, my inability to delegate, work on the main thing, focus, all that stuff. Like I'm not saying that I was actually properly doing that. Is the first thing. So you're almost like stepping on people's toes and like micromanaging and getting in the way when you're doing that at like where we're at with team size and stuff. With the personal health and whatever thing, I'm at this desk probably over 90% of my day, no matter, like for sure. It's just like what interests me. And like, I am honestly actively trying to figure out other things that I can like do a little differently because seriously, like, it's probably not the most efficient. I'm like very clear that it's probably not, it's not the right way to do it. Cause I'm not working on like these crazy needle, like I know the needle moving things in current state, like what I think they are and like they need to be executed on, but at some level, like I can only kind of give the opinion on it and not directly do it or like build out these. Even when I do that, drop things in channels, it's like annoying. Like I need to have them go into a project flow. What's the priority? They need to work on this first, then this first. Like they already have all these funnels. I'm talking about, hey, squeeze this random thing over here that I know will be a 1% lift, but like chill. Like it almost annoys team. And then literal physical, I stopped partying a year and a half, 2 years ago. Like I'm done on that 100%. Like that was a big part of my life. That was when I would stop working. I would just go party. And I stopped doing that. So like health becomes instantly 15 times easier when you do that. And then I forever have always gone to the gym every single day. Always.
So
just lift heavy shit. Just go to like, dude, I was just Planet Fitness only forever. Like it's plenty to lift heavy stuff and do that. Once I got back here, there was a bigger, nicer, like lifting style gym. I joined that for the first time that I actually joined like a real gym like that. But yeah, 7 days a week I do that. Now I'm trying to do cardio because back when I lived somewhere warm, which I don't right now, and I will soon again, I would go on walks a lot and like consume a lot of like audio, either podcast or Audible and stuff. I would walk 5 to 10, like all like big miles a day and get all these ideas and get cardio in. And now I don't do that at all. I never leave. So I'm like, I need to start like running or doing something. So I literally bought running shoes yesterday or 2 days ago.
Where do you live?
I'm in Midwest in Michigan right now, where I'm from. But because when I did the Puerto Rico thing for the last 3 years. So when I was done with that, I was like, what's the easiest next, whatever, family, friends, girlfriend things, like, let's go back there. But then I lived through a winter like it was like a terrible thing. But like then I lived here during a winter and like, it's just not my speed. Like I like my son. I like my stuff. I don't need to be here. Like I can fly into here and do the family stuff and the friend stuff and do all that. So I'll go somewhere warm in the States next. So a Florida and Arizona, Texas, something.
So you think you're not gonna stay in Puerto Rico because that it's kind of similar to
I already
like.
pulled that plug.
That's funny you say that because that like Puerto Rico to guys in Europe is like Dubai, right? Like a lot of my friends went to Dubai and then they're all like out of it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I had that decision to make about 2 years ago, and I was like, because I'm married, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, my wife was like, I'm not fucking going there. I'm not going to stay in a fucking high-rise building. And then that made me think about it. I was like, well, I also don't want to do that forever. And
Yeah.
all of my friends have moved. Like I would say 90% of them have left.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When we went to London, our media buying guy is a legend, and he knows a bunch of people out in that world. And he introduced us to Tyler Newman. And Tyler Newman is a legend, and he's a real estate, and he does like all the stuff in London. Like super cool, nice guy. We hung out with him a couple times while we were there for like 2 days, and he was talking about that. He's like, all of my friends have since like that were here, that were London, that were whatever, have gone and moved to Dubai. It's like kind of like the hub out here, and he's like, it's kind of crazy, like. The guy dinners, the stuff we used to do, all now have kind of dwindled because those people have now all moved. So for him and for like people like that, like you almost double whammy get the benefits. Like, of course, you lose out on the things that you have in your home state, country, location, whatever. But like, if all your friends are out there and it's like this money making capital in terms of and what you keep and like true the taxation, like all of that stuff, like maybe it does make sense. For the PR thing, it's kind of like it's different. It's different. So it's like I didn't do a great job of like networking. I'm like very intro. I want to sit at my desk and do my thing. I also wasn't mobbing, so I didn't live in like the epicenter zone of down there where all those people are, because it's expensive as shit to do so. And I like wasn't crushing it like that when I got down there. I could have actually. I just wasn't there mentally. Like I said, I was partying a bunch. I was just like being an idiot. I didn't have like a frame. I didn't have like a mission. And people are down there for money. Right? Like, yes, it has beautiful weather. Yes, it has beautiful stuff. But like majority of the time, like they're down there for the money.
Of course.
Which also brings out me included, like an interesting type of person. So I didn't network well enough when I was down there. I had a couple core friends that was like cool. And we'd basically just party together. And like, that was it. And we'd work, or we'd like go, everyone works 12 hours a day and then connects every other weekend or something. And it's a casino or it's a this or it's a this. And like, it's just a bad era for me, honestly. And like, just for money, that's where you take it down to. Like, that was my comparison with the London thing and these guys moving to Dubai. Like, they have their friends there and they're making money and they're doing this stuff. Like, that's a little bit different than like just doing it for money. And if you're just doing it for money, there's a ton of guys who have been there and then have moved and have talked about this. There's a ton of guys who have done XYZ where it's like, at some level, to save 30 points or whatever, 25, 30 points. Yes, you could like look at it as like a sacrifice, which is not even a sacrifice. It's a beautiful place. It's beautiful this, but like the time that, because you got to be there over half the year, like all that stuff, trade off to just like living here and just making more money and just being close by proximity and networking and being able to go to all the events and do all the stuff you want to do. Like, it's just kind of like a lot of people will say this exact, it's like like you make money so you can have freedom, and instead you're reducing your freedom to have more money. And it's like the math equation's broken.
Such a good point, dude. So, and also the person that you become as a result of doing that. I'll finish up on this note. I remember seeing a video from Charlie Morgan, which was like, if you save an extra $1 million for being in Dubai and you spend that $1 million on like cars and watches, you may as well just spend that money on like the tax and then work harder and become a better person.
Yes.
Like what you're spending the money on is fucking bullshit, right?
I met some great people when I was like there are super cool business people. There's families down there. There's like a lot of that. So like, I definitely don't want to be like, oh, it's like that. It's different than what I've seen of Dubai, where it's like a little bit more like everyone's got the crazy cars and the watches and whatever. Like, it's sure it's kind of, but it really is like not that same in that way. So there are great people down there, but you're making a decision to do that. My whole thing was like, oh, I'll do it for 3 years. I'll crush it. I'll whatever. And instead, for 3 years, business was breaking. We weren't fully focused on it. I wasn't fully focused. I was being an idiot. I was partying. I wasn't in a good place in my personal life, like my existence as me. And then coming back here was a huge shift for that. Like, everything happened at the same time. It was like, come back, be a better person, stop being an idiot, get over that. Focus on the business, take this business to a new level, do these other things, focus on this one thing. Like, all of those things all happened at the same time. So just for that, like, I am eternal grateful for like the decision to do that. But if you want to do a 3-year sprint and keep 90% of your cash, 95% of your cash, like, there's a model where that makes sense. Yeah. And it did make
100%,
sense for
man.
me at the time because I was 25 to 20 or 24 to 27 or whatever. Like if I would have hammered it, like it would have been great investment for 3 years, young enough, all that. Now it's like if I did it, I'm 28 right now. It'd be like 28 or 29 to 30 something. And like, I just don't know that I'm willing to make that type of move.
Fuck,
at
man,
this
you're
point.
28. That's
I'm old.
crazy.
I'm old in the game.
You're not that old, man. I'm 29. Fucking hell.
I'm old in
man.
the game.
28. Well, dude, I want to say a big thank you to you. I feel like we could do fucking another 3 hours of this.
Let's run another one. I think I like
100%,
how you were talking about that, and I think we only got a third of the way in because you were marketing, then it was sales and like fundamentals of the whole thing. But really, it is like we could talk all day about.
Of course, man.
Sales, marketing, then product fulfillment, then ascension, then that.
Of course,
the whole arc. Yeah.
And I think to be honest, like I'll be going back to America soon anyway, right? So whether it's going to be East Coast, New York, Miami, just for doing a shit ton of recordings towards the end of the year, maybe actually, that will be awesome, dude. But I want to say a big thank you. You're an absolute fucking legend. I'm very grateful to have met you, and also very grateful for the help that you've given me, man. Over the past couple of months, you've given me a ton of help, and you've pulled me out of many holes that I don't think you realize. So I want to say a big thank you.